And actually, that's probably one of my favorite things is curiosity, right? Even when you're dealing with people where they seem to be, doing things that are way outside of the norm or that you can't understand or that you don't like, instead of reacting, what is driving that behavior? Where is this person coming from? What has happened in the past that drives this behavior? And that then allows you to grow empathy and allows you to deal with people. Okay. So the more curious you are about the behaviors around you, your own behaviors, the more questions you'll ask, the more knowledge you'll have, and the more able you are to exist in your environment. I'm Anne Lawler. I work for 3 Ireland and UK. And my background is it's quite varied, quite squiggly, really. So I left school, went into do a HR degree, started working. I didn't finish it. Got a job in the Irish Civil Service, which was your job for life. Everybody was delighted except me. I was absolutely horrified. It was like, well, what am I going to do here for the next 45 years? And I left it after 2 years and I went into a role in HR. So I'm from a little town. Well, no, actually, it's the biggest town in Ireland. So I shouldn't say it's a little town called Drogheda. It's about 30 miles north of Dublin. Born and bred here, went to school here. One of 2 kids, but I'm 8 years older than my sister. So I spent 8 years as an only child. Funny enough, I recently had to get my school reports out to have a look at them. I was incredibly chatty as a kid, let's say. Bright enough, though. Bright without effort at primary school, which was brilliant for me. Got on well, but disruptive, I think was a word. Chatty, wants all the attention. My 5th class teacher used to say to me, do you want to teach the class? Because I would put my hand up and answer at the same time. So yeah, one younger sister, she's 8 years younger than me. Solid background in terms of family life. My mum and dad both worked. So from an early age, I could see that for me, that was what you did with your life. Throughout my secondary school, I probably had this sense of not quite reaching the potential that everybody thought I had. They're like, well, you could do anything. And I'm like, I couldn't be bothered really studying all that much. Life is too much fun. And I was always all about the fun, always all about the crack, and always all about the next big shiny thing. So when it came to junior cert and leaving cert, I did not get the results that everybody thought I was going to get. I knew I was going to get them, but I was offered a place in Queen's to do pharmacy. The point, it wasn't a stretch. It wasn't that big, in terms of what I needed to get, but I just didn't do it. So that was a bit of a disaster from an academic perspective. And they were like, what are we going to do with this one now? And they decided, maybe we'll send her to business school. We'll have her do her degree, because they were quite focused and they knew I had potential and they kind of wanted me to get that education piece. I wasn't interested. I really wasn't. So I went and I did 2 years of business degree in which I really became expert in playing cards. I could play bridge, I could play poker, I could play anything, because that's all we did, and did it 2 years. And then I got an opportunity to apply for the Irish Civil Service and I got the job. And at that point for me, it was work. It was work, it was money, it was earning, it was getting out there, it was living my life at 20 instead of being in college trying to sit and study for exams. So I think the key themes would have been like dopamine chasing. Let's have fun. Not really putting in the effort, not quite reaching the potential, and being known as being kind of disruptive, but also very pleasant with it. As I mentioned, I work in the people team in 3, which is historically called the HR function. Really funny, I used to teach the CIPD program, which is the HR qualification here in Ireland. And I would have like 17 people in front of me. And the very first question I'd say is, why are you doing this program? Why HR? Why? And to a person, they'd all tell me, because we love people. No. All right. So HR has this perception of fluffiness and, this sort of, we're the people. That really isn't what it's about. Okay, it's about interacting and making sure that the people have the right environment, the right context, the right learning, the right support in order to do their jobs. It's not come and have a cup of tea. All right. So this notion of loving people, it will not get you through. All right. It's really, how do I set up an environment in which people can thrive? And to get into HR or people sort of career, there's so many different routes. All right. So my first one in was recruitment. Okay. I hadn't finished my degree, but I had done enough. Okay. So you can go in terms of recruitment administration. There's so many different options there. I went into an agency, that's kind of a recruitment plus a sales role. So also understanding the differences between them. A friend of mine started in HR administration, right? Where you come out and you really learn that generalist, that breadth, because within the people team, like I've mentioned, I'm in training, there's so many different functions. So you can do reward. How are people paid? You can really have a look at propositions and well-being. How do we put those supports around people so that they have what they need? You can look at business partnering. How are we structured? Is the structure the right structure for the people and for the business? And you can look at learning and development. You can look at talent. How do we move our people through the organization? Even if you haven't studied, or if you have studied in the area, really have a look at those organizations that have the people functions, that HR admin role. Sometimes you'll see it as that HR support is what it's called. So really having a look at that. I would talk to people who are in the business. Find a mentor, find somebody who's within that realm. I had really, really good people in there. Annette, a lady I worked with at one point, I still talk to her. Right. So you bring people through your career with you. She's a couple of levels, always had been a couple of levels above me. I'm catching up to her now though, but really, really having a mentor. My first one is know yourself and accept yourself, warts and all, because it's only from there that you can change. Right. That would be my first one. My second one is challenge all assumptions. Don't be constrained by assumptions, right? And that doesn't mean out loud, it means in your head. So if you're thinking, I can't, I shouldn't, people like me don't, says who? All right, says who? Okay, like it's like that elephant. The elephant story? Baby elephants are tethered. They've got a big chain around their leg and they're tethered to a log, all right, so that they don't escape. That same elephant grows into a 20-ton elephant with the same chain on the same log that they could literally flick their leg off, but they don't, because they don't believe they can, because they couldn't. Right. So they don't take account of the fact that they are now a big giant elephant and have capability that they didn't have when they were younger. Right. So I see so many of us, me included, get stuck by assumed constraints. Okay. And it's in those moments to take space and time to go, hang on, says who? How do I know? What is the evidence? And actually, that's probably one of my favorite things is curiosity, right? Even when you're dealing with people where they seem to be, doing things that are way outside of the norm, or that you can't understand, or that you don't like, instead of reacting, what is driving that behavior? Where is this person coming from? What has happened in the past that drives this behavior? And that then allows you to grow empathy and allows you to deal with people. Okay. So the more curious you are about the behaviors around you, your own behaviors, the more questions you'll ask, the more knowledge you'll have, and the more able you are to exist in your environment.